culinary cats and kittens, Chef Eric Villegas here, and welcome to Sous Vide Fresh Bites. Today's recipe, lamb! Today's recipe, so much fun, so easy, can be used in all sorts of ways. We're doing a leg of lamb with a wild mushroom horseradish glaze. And of course, we're going to be sous videing. This is absolutely delicious. It's super simple. It's going to be wonderful on my lamb, but it could be used on literally just about anything. And when you're doing cooking sous vide, you really want to have that finishing kind of color, whether it's seared in a pan or glazed with the sauce, that really makes your entree or your appetizer really pop. So, in the bag, and everything's in the bag, first I want to show you horseradish. What I like is just shredded, fresh horseradish root with vinegar and salt. That's what I got here. So that's in there. And now I'm adding some vinegar, but this is raw apple cider vinegar, which is one of my favorites. That's going in the bag. And then to that, I'm also adding the seared wild mushroom blend, the rub. Perfect for this. It's got the wild mushrooms and maple sugar and all sorts of other stuff. And speaking of maple sugar, let's add some more. That's going inside. And this is more to taste. I think the recipe says 2 teaspoons or so. Whoa! That got a little bit mushroomy. I'm just going to add a couple teaspoon or so shots of hot sauce and a little bit of salt. And that's it. That's the glaze. I'm just going to go ahead and vacuum seal this, cook it for a couple, 3 hours at 82 or so Celsius, and it's going to be delish. So this is Australian boneless leg of lamb, and now I'm going to open it up. And you can kind of see what I got here. I got one big piece here and one guy here. So I want it basically to be all like this. So I'm just going to butterfly somewhat this big piece till I get something that's about the same thickness all the way around. Maybe a little slice there, like that. And now what I see, I don't know if you see it, but what I see are 3 pieces. I see a piece here, I see a piece here, and I see a piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a slice right there. And then I see these pieces here. I'm going to cut straight across. Just like that. So now I have 3 approximately same size roasts, if you will, from the leg of lamb. Now it's up to you, and a lot of guests, a lot of family members, a lot of people don't like lamb fat because it tends to be a little bit stronger. So if you want, you can go ahead and trim some of that away. This is totally up to you. And depending how you're finishing it, that lamb fat could be a nice lubricant as it's cooking, or it could just be obnoxious. So I'm going to cut some back over here because I see that big guy there. There's a little piece there. Get rid of him. Now you can trim forever. So it's really just what you want to get rid of. Now this is a little bit of sinew, a little bit of silver skin that I do want to get rid of. I've noticed that many times when I've done these before. Now on the fat side, if you want to, you can remove all of this fat, but if there's really big pieces, I do want to get rid of them. Good. So that's what I've got. So 3 pieces, and guess what? I got 3 bags. So now I'm choosing not to season this. I know some of you are kind of freaking out, but I will be seasoning it right before I sear it or grill it or broil it to get that final crust. So I'm going to do this plain. That's 3. Now all we need to do is go seal them up. You could easily vacuum seal this and have all this bag there, but there's also something else you could do. Watch this. I'm going to put the meat in, and this might freak you out, so sit down. I'm pulling the bag out of the machine. I know that's kind of odd. I know it is. But now watch this. Just like before, I'm going to run my finger across the bag to make sure there are no kinks in the bag against the heat seal so I get a good, nice seal. But I'm also pulling the meat up to get a nice, smaller bag. Now how's that going to work? I'm going to take my sharp couteau, take my sharp knife. Here's the seal bag, and here's the front of the machine. I'm simply going to take my knife and I'm going to cut slices, cut holes, cut air vents in between the bag, in between the heat seal and the outside of the machine. So now when I drop the top, I'm able to pull a vacuum from the slices I did in the bag. It's going to seal, then I can easily trim off the excess of the bag to have a nice compact bag and a nice compact piece of meat. And now you can see I've got a beautifully vacuum packaged piece of lamb, and you can see the seal is here and my vent holes are there. So now I'm just going to cut right across, right in front of the seal, and I've got a nice little package all set. Now, is it a waste? Well, not necessarily. With this, here are my holes. I can go ahead and trim this down. Now I've got a sleeve. I can easily seal this end and have another small bag. So this is a way of compressing meats into a smaller package from a larger bag, being able to utilize excess bag. There's all sorts of things you can do. 3 beautiful roasts, if you will, out of 1 lamb leg. So we've got them all right here. They're beautifully sealed. The bags have been trimmed up, and again, these have not been seasoned. If you want to salt and pepper, you want to use your favorite rub, your special rub, go right ahead. But I'm going to cook these at 55 Celsius for approximately 8 hours. So I'll see ya in about 8 hours. Lamb leg, boneless, portioned into 3, 8 hours at 55 Celsius. They're ready. Those look lovely. I'm just going to go ahead and drain these guys. All right, there are those wonderful pieces. Now, a lot of questions I get are, why do you dry off the meat? Well, what happens if you don't dry it off, the water that's on there is going to steam away before it starts to brown. So you end up steaming the meat somewhat. You just don't get a fast enough sear. You get a far better sear if you dry your meat off, in this case the lamb off, before you glaze it or sear it. Again, you don't have to, but better product this way. Now I've got this cast iron skillet, skin side down, and I'm going to go ahead and glaze the underside. Not a lot, because we're going to glaze this a few times. So in the cast iron, the fat side down, I'm just going to do a little glaze on the cut side. So in the broiler. All right. And that's the second glaze. Look at that. Now I'm just going to flip these guys over and quickly score this fat side. It'll help release some of the fat. It'll look nice because it'll kind of pop. Now let's pull out some of that glaze and do it again, huh? Oh yeah. And when you do the crosshatch like that, the glaze gets in between the cuts, and that's a good thing, right? That is a good thing. Okay, and then back under the broiler. And one more time. This is looking delicious. So I did 2 times on the one side, and I think I'm just going to do this twice on the fat side, and we will be ready to go. So one more time into the breech. I think we're ready. I can hear it. It's talking to me. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, have you ever? Have you ever? I don't think you have. So our meat has rested, our lamb has rested, and the smell from this glaze and the lamb all coming together in culinary harmony is so exciting. Let's just go ahead and slice into this guy. I'm going to cut this guy in half. Look at that. That's what Sous Vide 55C gets you. A perfect medium rare. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice this guy up, and we're just going to shingle it on a platter and serve some of that wonderful glaze drizzled over, and then some on the side. And the slices as thick or as thin as you'd like. If you got more guests than you thought were coming over to dinner, slice it thinner. So this is glaze that's mixed with the lamb juices. And so it's a little bit thinner than the actual glaze is. So that's just going to go over the top like that. And then I've got some other glaze here on the side. You know, little fancy containers, whatever you want to do, but there it is. That is a sous vide boneless leg of lamb, 8 hours at 55 Celsius with a wild mushroom horseradish glaze, just for you. So there you have it, yet another sous vide bite for you. If you enjoy what you saw and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and let's chat. So until next time, see ya!